growing out of old identities. What has that meant for me? It's meant sort of as the end of an era with who I wanted to be growing up and who I ended up becoming over the last 25 years that I was really proud of and I resonated with, and things made sense for me, and I based my decisions and my life and my career on those identities. But what happens when they don't resonate anymore? What happens when they don't align with you anymore? What happens when it doesn't feel good anymore and you have nothing in common with the person that you used to be and the identities that you used to have? I think that's something today that I want to explore and talk about. And I think through the last little while, it's been an important conversation that I've had with everything from strangers in other countries to people I've met just having coffee, to really good friends of mine that are going through their own transition and life changes and experiencing what the next phase of their life looks like and how they've grown out of the person that they were before. Welcome back to Beyond the Black Belts. I am Maeghen Cotterill. I'm the owner of 5 Elements Martial Arts in Calgary, Alberta, and I'm the president of the WKU, the World Kickboxing and Karate Union Canada. So today's podcast, Growing Out of Old Identities, the End of an Era. I think it's realizing, with a lot of emotions attached to it, who I used to be and who I was really proud of and who I had fought and worked so hard to become, and how that used to fit for me. And it was a story that I told and that I felt comfortable telling, and that I felt comfortable describing how I got there and what I fought for, and the good, the bad, the ugly, the challenges, the happy endings, the victories, all of those things. And how, when I think about them now, exactly where I am right now today, they completely don't resonate. Like, I almost don't recognize who that girl was. I don't recognize her same thought patterns, her mindset, how she planned her day, the things that helped her to manage her day-to-day life, the things that motivated her. They don't exist for me anymore standing here right now. And I'm trying to figure out what the new era looks like. And I think if I could visualize what it feels like I am on a suspension bridge. And my old life with my old identities and what I resonated with is like on one side of the ravine. And it was a beautiful place, and it's surrounded by like beautiful trees and lakes and mountains and all those beautiful things. But I have to cross this suspension bridge. And the other side is like this paradise, what I would imagine Atlantis to be. So, like the beautiful flowers and how things would smell, and like this beautiful paradise. It's on the other side of this totally terrifying suspension bridge over the biggest ravine I've ever seen in my life. And I've already been on the suspension bridge for a while, and I'm right in the center of it right now. And I'm scared, and I don't want to look down, and I'm holding the edges, and I'm shaking, and I'm afraid, and I'm emotional. And I don't want to go back to where I was on the other side of the suspension bridge, but I'm scared to let go of what that side looks like. But then I see everything beautiful on the other side of the bridge that I really want to get to, even though I don't know what it's going to be like when I get there. I don't know if it's going to feel safe and okay. I don't know how I'm going to think or process or motivate myself or come up with any game plans or business plans once I get to the other side of that suspension bridge into this paradise. But I know intrinsically and intuition-wise that I need to cross the rest of the bridge and go into this unknown paradise of what my life is going to transition into, and what I feel is the best thing for me and who I have grown to become and evolve to have become. So I think for me specifically, some of those identities were my old story. And one of them was of being an athlete. So my identity of being an athlete and working really hard and being a national multiple time gold medalist, winning 11 world gold medals, like hyper achieving as an athlete to get as many black belts as I felt like I could, and getting those high degrees within my athleticism and within my sport of martial arts. it was easy to tell that story, and it was easy to be angry about things, and it was easy to talk about the challenges, and it was easy to talk about how many broken bones that I had and how I motivated myself and my meal plans and my workouts and, how I got this gold medal mindset of how to achieve goals or overcoming challenges and all those things. And I don't resonate with being that athlete anymore. I've worked so hard to take out and learn from what I did right and what I did wrong that I don't want to self-harm to motivate myself like I did as an athlete. And I want to love my body and respect it. And that was not my mindset when I was an athlete. And I overtrained and I tried to overperform and I tried to prove myself. And I think I was incredibly insecure as an athlete. And now those things just don't resonate anymore. I want to take better care of my body. I want to work out and train and be a martial artist because I love it and I'm passionate, and those feelings just are gone. And then it was part of the story of overcoming challenges as far as like my traumas went. We all have traumas and we all process them at different times. And I think I've worked really hard and had that as my identity, where I could tell the story of the sexual assaults I went through, both when I was younger and then, through my adulthood, and especially in the martial arts community. And I was able to talk about them, and I was able to talk about the anxiety and the depression that I went through and the PTSD and, all the ways I tried to structure myself to get healthy. But I'm on the other side now, and I don't feel like it's what motivates me or what is part of my new identity anymore. I'm no longer a victim of those things. I'm no longer being motivated by those things. I'm no longer angry about what happened to me and that I felt like subconsciously and consciously it held me back. So those identities are starting to fall away like the ghosts of my past. And then even there was the identity of, being a small business owner and being an entrepreneur and all the challenges and overcoming that took, and how much I resonated with other people that were starting those small businesses and the struggles that came with it. And now, when I think about it, I've been an entrepreneur for over 25 years, and I don't feel like I'm still in that same struggle. I don't feel like I'm as insecure with the process of those things. I don't think I have the same fears that surround that. Like, I don't identify as someone that's in the middle or the beginning of those struggles any longer. So I'm trying to figure out now if I'm none of the things that I've worked my whole life in 40 some years to become. What have I grown into? Who am I now? What's my new identity? How do I move forward? How do I let all those things go? If you like this podcast, please like, share, and follow. Okay, so now that I've realized what all these stories have been my whole life and how beautiful that they were to get me to the place that I am now and force me into different ways of healing and overcoming, who have I grown into? Who am I? What do I like? What makes me feel good? Who do I want to be? What do I want to trust? I felt like those old identities were, I wouldn't say shallow, but very much like a resume. They were all about who I should be and the process that I should be doing and taking and organizing. And it was very structured and it was very surface level. And now the new identity is really based on how I want to feel. And I want to feel better and happier and more content and more calm with who I am. I want to be more vulnerable. I want to be more honest. I don't think I was ever dishonest, but I think now I'm okay to let all that stuff go and figure out who I am. I'm okay to be a business owner that feels confident creating new business plans or deciding to franchise or knowing the steps that it takes to be a business owner and not really feeling the same loneliness that I felt as an entrepreneur and a small business owner. I do feel more educated than what I used to, and I do feel more self-secure, and I do feel more confident, and I do feel more assured of just being a business owner and a leader and a CEO and not someone that is insecure about the position that she's in. So now I have to process letting all those identities go. And it's actually quite emotional, I think, when you let go of the person you fought so hard to become, it feels like part of you dies. It feels like you're a little lost for a bit because you were clinging on to those old identities so much that it made you feel like it was a mask that made it okay to be who you were in the world. And now it's incredibly vulnerable, and there's so much grief with the death that comes from these identities and the ego that comes from these identities, and being a little scared to have a totally different identity and whether it's going to be accepted and whether you're going to get the feedback that you need and you're going to get the acceptance that you need and want. And most of all, the acceptance of yourself. It's kind of interesting that I looked for so much outside acceptance before with those identities, thinking that if I was so perfect within being an athlete or overcoming being a victim or being this, brave or courageous business owner, I don't look for the same validation now. I'm looking more to how I want to feel and my nervous system being calm and being more full of joy and looking for the beauty in things and looking for the limitless potential that I feel like I have now compared to the limiting potential that I had before. And in those identities, I felt like I needed suffering in order to get reward. I needed challenge in order to have victory. And now in this new identity that I'm in, just trying to exist, just trying to do the things I feel passionate about, I'm not looking for the same validation that I looked for before. I'm looking for more of the validation from myself. Do I feel confident? Do I like who I am? Am I proud of who I am? Am I proud of people that I care about, understanding that I'm honest and that I'm being forthcoming and that I'm being more authentic than I've ever been? And I'm trying to work through basically writing my own obituary of, okay, well, the old Maeghen is dead now. Who is the new Maeghen? And I think it's okay to feel a lot of grief. I think it's okay to cry. I think it's okay to feel lost. I think it's okay to be sad about the unknown and scared about the unknown and feeling like you're kind of treading lightly and you're on that suspension bridge and you're trying to balance out everything and move forward and push yourself. And no one on this journey can push you but you. You can have encouragement, but you can't wait for anyone to push you. And you can't sit in the middle of the suspension bridge either. You can't wait in transition. Nothing good comes from waiting in transition. You just limit yourself when you're at that point. And so now, where do you go? Well, what's really exciting is that I get to explore and I get to be curious and I get to ask questions. And instead of going through the schooling of what I went through before, I just get to do all the feeling. And that's kind of how I want to move into the future. I want a future that makes me feel fulfilled. I want a future that lets me be settled in the fact that I want to be a leader and I want to be a change maker and that I want to have depthful conversations with people and that I want to do things because they feel amazing and I want to have adventures and I want to feel big energy and I want to feel big love and I want to have a big life. And I don't want to tell myself that I need to even have an identity anymore. What if I don't have an identity anymore? What if I just exist? What if I just get to breathe? What if I just get to navigate the next phase of my life, accepting that I have enough education to do it, accepting that I have enough courage to do it, accepting that I have enough knowledge and experience to move into the next step and be a bigger version of what I am now based on everything I've learned and everything I've let go of. I feel like letting go of all of that feels lighter and better and freer and more expansive. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about letting go of those old identities is you get to become anything you want and anything you've ever dreamed of. And you get to have limitless desires and your journey starts now.